the top 10 rogue decks in standard. Oh, excuse me. Let me start over. Because I think I'll upload this. All right. So while we are waiting for this next round in the tournament, we will do a top 10 list. This is my list of the top 10 rogue decks in standard for the current July 2020 format. This is before Eternatus VMAX comes out. This is before Darkness Ablaze. This is a video for right now, for this current month that we are in, the month of July. These are the top 10 rogue decks. By rogue, a lot of these are budget decks. They are on the cheaper side of things simply because they're just less popular, and a lot of them have lower rarity stuff. But these aren't necessarily put in this list for price reasons. These are put in the list simply for surprise reasons, if that makes sense. So budget, rogue, I think those are... We're in the same wheelhouse of those types of decks. So the idea is, for this list, is I wanted to pick 10 decks that are kind of the most surprising, that you can cheese wins out of on the PTCGO ladder. These are the decks that are not Pikarom, not Zacian, not Baby Blounds, but also that kind of stand a chance against the meta. All right, so... let's get into it. The first deck is going to be the Exodia deck. This is going to rotate out in a month, but while it's here, it's still fun to play, and it's more consistent than Exodia is in the game Yu-Gi-Oh! Being able to just automatically win if you have a good enough draw engine, if you have a good enough stall engine, you're able to just get free wins just out of nowhere with Exodia. And there's not a whole lot people can tech for you, and teching for Exodia is a waste of space in most decks. So it doesn't matter what your opponent's playing. They can be playing Baby Blounds, Pikarom, whatever. Exodia can come out of nowhere and cheese you some wins. All right, next up we have Excadrill. Excadrill is a deck that I think gets better when the new format happens, when Eternatus comes out, just because it hits Eternatus for weakness. But right now it hits Pikarom for weakness, which is really nice. And then once you do get your deck to that three card pile, you're still doing 180 damage, which is enough to knock out a lot of things. With small damage modifiers like Shrine or stuff like that, you can modify it even more. But Excadrill really is just a good kind of one prize attacker that can bring out big numbers really quickly. The reason I kind of had it low on the list is because it requires a lot of setup in order to get going, and so you're going to have to sacrifice a few things early on, but once you get it, you can hit for huge numbers. So it is a bit less consistent, I think, than the other one prize attacker deck that I have as number one on this list, but I think Excadrill only gets better with time. And so next, number 8, I have Checkmate. Checkmate was much more relevant earlier in the format, and it had a lot of it had event tops. It was kind of this counter to everything because you could hit tag, you could take 3. There's so many ways to manipulate 3 prizes when there's 3 prize Pokemon, like tag teams, so you would kind of set up tag teams for knockouts. I think tag team becomes more difficult to consistently pull off when Pokemon are huge, like VMAX are, with 320 HP. It's much harder to set up a 320 HP knockout than to set up a 240 HP knockout. But that being said, it's not impossible. Island Challenge Amulet on Naganadel is kind of a decent way to get around ADP just knocking you out in one turn after you use the Stinger GX, but Stinger GX can still reset things out of nowhere and bring you surprise wins, and I think Checkmate is far from over. Catwalk is just such a good ability, and if you have the Galaxy Brain, you can set up a lot of one hit KOs out of nowhere, and not one hit KOs, 2 hit KOs after you've Stinger GX'd, and basically take all the prizes in one turn. So Checkmate, definitely, there's a lot of potential there in that deck still, even though Stinger's going to rotate out in a month. So you might notice the theme. A lot of the decks on this list will not be the same a month from now. So I'll do a new list once the rotation happens. But this is for right now. I still think Checkmate has a lot of potential. Number 7, I have Blacephalon GX. Let's just see how we're doing in the tournament. All right, we're still waiting. So Blacephalon GX, Mind Blown. You send energy to the Lost Zone. You get lots of energy with Naganadel. You can kind of hit for big numbers. This card is dwindled in popularity severely because of Baby Blounce just being like a 1-prize attacker that trades more efficiently. But in a format full of 3-prize Pokemon, like a 2-prizer can trade pretty consistently, and it trades favorably a lot of the time. And so it's still a decent fire deck, and Burst GX can pull some clutch wins out of nowhere. So Blacephalon GX is far from being done, but that being said, it will rotate out. So it's only good for another month or so. Moving on, we have Obstagoon. Obstagoon's Obstruct can stop a lot of these basic Pokemon. You can put them in locks. Yveltal GX lets you take big knockouts with Doom Count GX once something has 4 damage counters on it. So you can get rid of a lot of tag teams this way. You can get rid of a lot of VMAXs this way. Obstagoon, there's kind of a lot of potential there, I think, in ways that you can make it more of a control deck, more of a spread deck. Like, there's a lot of variance. You have a lot of options. The thing that's hard with Obstagoon is its low damage output. So you kind of have to, depending on what your opponent is playing, create various difficult locks for them. And sometimes that looks like playing Power Plant. Sometimes you're playing Mimikyu. Obstagoon is only as good as how well it can adapt to the format. But I think Obstagoon is a pretty good rogue option just because there's still so many basics and just format dominated by basics. And then also just being able to take big prizes with things like Yveltal. It's really good. So Obstagoon's still good. 5, Oranguru Control. Oranguru Control is like a different deck than Mill. Instead of the supporters you're spamming being Bellbella and Bryson Man, you're instead going to be spamming things like Jesse James and Mars to just knock things out of their hand and use Chip Chip Axe. It operates a little differently from Mill, but it's still kind of basically the same deck. It struggles against Dragapult. Dragapult makes it really hard for a deck like this to be meta, so that's kind of the reason it's a rogue deck. But against anything that isn't Dragapult, if they aren't ready to play this long grindy game with you, then you're gonna take the win right there. Let's see how we're doing. All right, we still have time. Number 4, we have Combo Welder. This is an idea that, I mean, you've seen me mess around with on stream, which I use Turtonator and Welder, and then the Jirachi. The idea with it is it uses Jirachi, Mr. Mime, Oranguru, that combo to take extra prizes, and then Welder just being like the best energy acceleration in the game right now. You can combine this with a lot of stuff. You can combine it with Cramorant, and just knock out Dedennes and take 3 prizes for the Dedennes. You could do something with Torko. You could do something with Turtonator. There's kind of a lot of potential for these 2 cards to work together in interesting ways. And so that's why I have this as a rogue deck, even though there's not like one definitive version of how to play it. This is just something that there's a lot of options for. Let me get a sip of water before I keep going. Number 3 is Magcargo. You guys already know how much I love Magcargo. I play this deck a lot. It's able to just like do huge numbers. It's very similar to Baby Blacephalon in a lot of ways. The difference being you don't have to discard all the cards from your hand. You only have to discard them from the Magcargo. And using the Baby Magcargo, you can guarantee Welder being on your deck every single turn. So what you lose in just being basic 1-prizers, you gain in, if you're able to think ahead, you can guarantee Welder on your thing every single turn. Oh my goodness, we're back in the event. We're back in the event. Okay. Do you think I can play at the same time and finish the list? I only have 2 more things to do. All right. We start Chin Chow. All right, and then number 2, don't want to spoil it. Number 2 is Alolan Persian lock. I think Alolan Persian is just surprising. It's gonna be rotating out, so it's only good for like another month or so.
So that is actually incorrect. Alolan Persian GX was released in the set Cosmic Eclipse, so it will stay in the format after rotation. It does not rotate out. I apologize for that mistake.
Just like the number 1 card on this list as well. And then we'll play Dratini, and then we will put the energy there, and then, yeah, we'll be done. Cool. But being able to stop tag teams, stop Ultra Beasts, and stop things that have special energy, that's like the entire format. That's like Picarum's a tag team, Ultra Beast is Baby Blacephalon, special energy is Dragapult. Like, you're able to just lock so many surprising things with Alolan Persian. You could put this in any deck. You could put this in an Obstagoon. You could put this in Magcargo. There's so much you could put this in, but like just being able to create this lock is probably one of the best ways to stop the meta. And then number 1 is Granbull. You've seen me play Granbull a bunch. Just being able to like, as long as you're able to empty your hand and then predict things in the future, we're fine. As long as you're able to empty your hand and predict things in the future, using Magcargo to top deck things for next turn, top deck Rosa for yourself, top deck Diantha for yourself, you can consistently just hit 130 every single turn, and you are going to have... Is Alolan Persian rotating out? Let me just see. Because I did just say that, but I don't know. I thought it was, because I thought it came out in a Sun and Moon set. Nope, yep, Alolan Persian came out in Lost Thunder, so Alolan Persian is rotating out.
Again, here I am incorrect. Alolan Persian was released in Cosmic Eclipse, not in Lost Thunder, so it will not be rotating out. It will be staying in the format after rotation. Again, I apologize for the mistake.
Most of this list is rotating out, which is why this is like Rogue for July 2020. This is like Rogue for right now. And I think Granbull is the best Rogue deck. Not only are you one-hit KOing ADPization, but anything that has 320, like most of the VMAXs, you're 2-hit KOing, and your prize trades are always going to be favorable. Oranguru Magcargo is just so consistent, and you have access to anything you want at a time. So as long as every turn you just attack with a Granbull and then set up a Granbull for next turn, like, you're going to be doing great. So yes, those are my top 10 Rogue deck list of 2020. Of July 2020. Of right now for the next month, I will do a new top 10 list when the format changes. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, if you have any Rogue deck options that I missed, let me know. All right, bye-bye.